every single gardener in America, and I genuinely mean every single one, has stood over a tray of seedlings that were thriving yesterday and devastated today, wondering what on earth went wrong. You planted those seeds with so much hope. You watered them. You watched them. You maybe even talked to them a little. And then one morning you walk over, and they are lying on their sides. Or they are tall and pale, and falling over, or they have simply vanished as if they were never there at all. If that scene is painfully familiar to you, I want you to know something deeply important right now. You are not a bad gardener. You just haven't been told the real reasons why seedlings die, and more importantly, exactly what to do to fix it and grow the lush, healthy, thriving plants you actually deserve. That is exactly what we are going to do together today. Right from the very beginning, let's start with the truth that most beginner gardeners never hear, and it is this. The vast majority of seedling deaths are caused not by neglect but by too much love, specifically too much water. Overwatering is, without question, the single leading cause of seedling death in home gardens across the United States, and it is so insidious because it masquerades as the opposite problem. The seedling wilts. The leaves look limp and sad, and the completely natural human instinct is to water more. But the wilting is not happening because the plant is thirsty. It is happening because the roots are drowning. When soil stays saturated for extended periods, the oxygen that root cells need to function is displaced by water, and the roots begin to die. Dead roots cannot take up water or nutrients, and so the plant above, even if it is sitting in a pool of moisture, begins to show the same symptoms as a plant that has not been watered at all. The fix begins with your finger. Before you ever water a seedling, press your index finger into the soil up to the first knuckle. If the soil feels moist, do not water. Come back tomorrow and check again. Only when the top inch of soil feels dry to the touch should you water, and when you do water, do it thoroughly, allowing water to drain completely from the bottom of the container. And then leave it alone until the surface dries again. This single habit change will eliminate the majority of seedling deaths in your garden immediately. The second killer of seedlings, and the one that's most dramatically teaches the lesson about overwatering, is a condition called damping off. If you have ever seen a perfectly healthy seedling suddenly collapse at the base of its stem, as if something invisible cut it down, you have witnessed damping off in action. This is a fungal disease caused by several soil-borne pathogens, most commonly Pythium and Rhizoctonia species, and it thrives in exactly the conditions that overwatering creates: saturated soil, poor drainage, low airflow, and warm temperatures. The affected stem at or just below the soil surface becomes thin, discolored, and soft, like a wet piece of string, and the seedling topples over and dies, often within hours of showing the first signs. Damping off is heartbreaking, and it moves fast, sometimes taking down an entire tray of seedlings overnight. Prevention is dramatically more effective than treatment. Always start seeds in fresh, sterile seed starting mix. Never in garden soil or old reused potting mix, which can harbor the pathogens that cause damping off. Ensure your seed starting trays have drainage holes that actually function. Never allow water to pool on the soil surface or sit in a tray beneath your seed containers for longer than 30 minutes. And run a small fan on its lowest setting near your seedlings for a few hours each day. Gentle air movement across the soil surface dramatically reduces the humidity that these fungal pathogens need to thrive. If damping off does strike a tray, remove affected seedlings immediately, reduce watering significantly, improve airflow, and treat remaining healthy seedlings with a diluted solution of hydrogen peroxide. 1 part 3% hydrogen peroxide to 9 parts water. Apply to the soil surface, which kills fungal pathogens without harming the seedlings. Light is the next critical factor, and insufficient light is responsible for one of the most common and most recognizable seedling problems in America. Etiolation, which is the technical name for the tall, pale, weak, floppy growth that happens when seedlings are desperately reaching for a light source that is not strong enough or close enough to meet their needs. Etiolated seedlings look dramatic, sometimes stretching 2 or 3 inches between leaf nodes, their stems so thin they cannot support their own weight. But they are communicating a simple and completely solvable message. They need more light, right now. The most common cause of etiolation in American homes is placing seedlings on a windowsill and assuming that the light coming through the glass is sufficient. In most situations across most of the country, especially during the winter and spring months when most seed starting happens, and daylight hours are short, window light simply does not provide enough intensity or duration to grow strong, compact, healthy seedlings. The solution is a full-spectrum LED grow light, positioned 4 to 6 inches above the tops of your seedlings, and run on a timer for 16 hours per day. This consistent, close, bright light source is what produces the stocky, dark green, robust seedlings that survive transplanting and grow into productive plants. If you already have etiolated seedlings, it is not too late. Move them immediately under a grow light or into your brightest direct sun window. You cannot reverse the growths that has already happened, but you can prevent further stretching and give the plant a strong foundation to recover from. Temperature is another factor that kills seedlings silently, without any outwardly obvious cause, and it works in both directions, too cold and too hot. Most vegetable and flower seedlings germinate best at soil temperatures between 70 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and they grow most vigorously in air temperatures between 65 and 75 degrees. When temperatures drop below 55 degrees, as they very commonly do on windowsills in American homes during winter, where the glass acts as a radiator of cold rather than warmth, germination rates plummet, root development stalls, and seedlings that did germinate grow so slowly they seem frozen in time. Cold temperatures also make seedlings more vulnerable to fungal disease. On the other end of the spectrum, temperatures consistently above 85 degrees during the day cause stress that shows up as wilting even in properly watered plants, accelerated soil drying, and, in some species, complete failure to germinate. The tools that solve temperature problems are simple and affordable. A seedling heat mat, a flat electric mat designed to maintain soil temperature at around 70 to 75 degrees. Placed beneath your seed starting trays will transform your germination rates during cooler months. A basic thermometer placed in your growing area will tell you whether your temperature is in the right range and alert you to any problematic swings. Underwatering, while less common than overwatering among beginners, is a very real cause of seedling death that deserves honest attention. Seedlings have small, shallow, undeveloped root systems, and their limited root mass means they can dry out far more rapidly than a mature plant with an extensive root system to draw from in the first week or two after germination, before roots have had a chance to grow. Beyond the immediate vicinity of the original seed, the seedling is almost entirely dependent on the moisture available in the very top layer of soil. If that layer dries out completely, which can happen within a day or two in a warm, dry room with low humidity, the seedling will wilt rapidly, and if the drought extends long enough, the damage becomes irreversible. The key to avoiding underwatering without crossing into overwatering is observation and consistency. Check your seedlings every single day, not every few days, not whenever you happen to remember. Touch the soil. Look at the seedlings. Young seedlings in small cells or small pots in a warm, low-humidity environment during summers genuinely need water every single day. Seedlings in a cool, humid environment in winter may need water every 3 to 4 days. The soil is your most reliable guide, and checking it daily builds the habit of attention that every success gardener eventually develops. Soil quality is something most beginners overlook entirely, and it is one of the foundational reasons why seedlings struggle from the very first day. Regular garden soil, the soil from your yard, your existing garden beds, or even purchased topsoil, is not appropriate for starting seeds or growing seedlings in containers. Garden soil is too dense, too heavy, and too poorly drained for the delicate root systems of young seedlings. When packed into a small tray or container, garden soil compacts severely under repeated watering, cutting off the oxygen supply to roots and creating the waterlogged conditions that cause root rot. and damping off. The correct medium for starting seeds is a commercially produced seed starting mix, which is designed to be lightweight, well-draining, and sterile. A good seed starting mix contains a combination of materials like fine vermiculite, perlite, and cocoa coir or peat moss. Components that hold just enough moisture for germination, while draining excess water freely and maintaining the open, airy structure that seedling roots need. Once seedlings develop their first set of true leaves and are ready to be potted up into a larger container, transition them into a high-quality potting mix. Again, not garden soil. That is rich in organic matter and well-draining. The small investment in quality growing media is one of the highest return decisions you can make for your seedling's survival and health. 5. Transplant shock is the silent killer that strikes after everything else has gone right. Your seedlings germinated beautifully. They grew strongly indoors. And then the moment you put them in the ground outside, they wilt, stop growing, or die. Transplant shock is the stress response that occurs when a plant's root system is disrupted during the transition from one growing environment to another. And it is completely preventable with one crucial process that most beginners skip entirely. Hardening off. Hardening off is the gradual, systematic process of exposing your indoor-grown seedlings to outdoor conditions over the course of 7 to 10 days before permanently planting them outside. Begin by placing seedlings outdoors in a sheltered, shaded spot for just 2 hours on the first day. Bring them back inside. The next day, increase outdoor exposure to 3 hours. Continue adding 1 to 2 hours of outdoor time daily, gradually introducing more direct sunlight as the days progress. By the end of 10 days, your seedlings should be spending their full day outdoors and are ready for permanent planting. This slow acclimation allows the plant to physically adapt to stronger light, moving air, fluctuating temperatures, and lower humidity, all of which are dramatically different from the controlled conditions of your home. Else experiencing the overwhelming stress that causes transplant, rush this process or skip it entirely, and even the healthiest, most vigorous seedlings can fail within days of going into the ground. Nutrient deficiency is a problem that typically appears a few weeks into the seedling stage, long after germination, but before transplanting, and it is one of the most visually informative problems your seedlings can show you. Seed starting mixes are intentionally low in nutrients. They are designed to support germination and very early growth, not long-term development, which means seedlings that remain in seed starting mix for more than 3 to 4 weeks will begin to exhaust the available nutrients in the growing medium. The first sign is usually a gradual yellowing of the lower leaves, beginning with the oldest leaves at the base of the plant. This yellowing, called chlorosis, indicates a nitrogen deficiency, and it signals that it is time to begin feeding. Start fertilizing your seedlings with a diluted liquid fertilizer at half the recommended strength when they are about 3 to 4 weeks old and have developed their first set of true leaves above the seed leaves. A balanced, all-purpose liquid fertilizer with equal parts nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium is appropriate for most seedling types. Apply it every 7 to 10 days, mixed into your watering routine, and always apply it to moist soil rather than dry soil to prevent root burn. Do not over-fertilize. More is never better with seedlings, and applying full-strength fertilizer to young seedlings causes fertilizer burn, which shows up as brown, crispy leaf edges, and is another problem to solve rather than prevent. Pests are an underappreciated cause of seedling failure that beginners often do not think to look for until significant damage has already occurred. The most common pest threats to seedlings grown indoors include fungus gnats, which lay their eggs in moist soil and whose larvae feed on seedling roots, weakening the plant and opening wounds that allow fungal pathogens to enter. Aphids, which cluster on young stems and leaves and suck out plant fluids. And spider mites, which thrive in dry, warm indoor conditions and cause stippled, pale leaf damage. Fungus gnats are almost always the direct result of overwatered soil. Because the adult gnats are attracted to the moisture and the larvae cannot survive in dry soil. Allow the soil to dry out more thoroughly between waterings, and use yellow, sticky traps placed at soil level to catch adult gnats. For aphids and spider mites, a spray made from 1 teaspoon of neem oil, a 1/4 teaspoon of dish soap, and 1 quart of water applied thoroughly to the leaves and stems every 5 to 7 days until the problem is resolved is safe and effective for seedlings at all growth stages. The most powerful prevention for all seedling pests is simple observation. Check your seedlings every day. Turn the leaves over and look underneath, and catch problems while they are small enough to solve easily. Pruning and thinning are 2 practices that beginner gardeners resist emotionally but absolutely must embrace if they want healthy, productive plants. Thinning refers to the removal of excess seedlings from a container or cell that has more than 1 germinated seedling, leaving only the single strongest, most vigorous plant to continue growing. When multiple seedlings compete in the same small space for the same limited resources of light, water, nutrients, and root space, all of them suffer. None grows as well as a single seedling growing without competition would. Use clean, sharp scissors to snip unwanted seedlings seedlings at the soil surface rather than pulling them out, which would disturb the roots of the remaining seedling. Thin your seedlings when they are about an inch tall and have developed their first set of true leaves, choosing the stockiest, darkest green, most upright seedling in each cell to keep. Pruning, in the context of seedling care, refers to the pinching back of the growing tips of certain species, particularly herbs like basils and flowers like snapdragons, to encourage branching and fuller, bushier growth. Pinch just above a leaf node with clean fingertips or scissors when the seedling has 4 to 6 true leaves. This simple action redirects the plant's energy from upward, single-stem growth into the development of multiple lateral branches, producing a fuller, chest-high, more productive plant from the very beginning. The journey from seed to thriving plant is one of the most deeply rewarding experiences in gardening, and knowing why seedlings die and exactly how to prevent each cause transforms that journey from one of frustrating mystery to one of genuine confidence and consistent success. Every problem we have covered today, overwatering, damping off, insufficient light, temperature extremes, underwatering, poor soil, transplant shock, nutrient deficiency, pests, and improper thinning, has a clear, actionable, completely beginner-friendly solution. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need expensive equipment. You need the right knowledge, the habit of daily observation, and the willingness to respond to what your seedlings are telling you. They are always communicating. Learning to listen is everything. Here is your call to action, and I want it to feel empowering rather than overwhelming. Start with just 1 change this week. If you have been overwatering, put the watering can down and check the soil with your finger first. If your seedlings are leggy, move them 4 inches closer to the light. If you have been using garden soil, invest in 1 bag of quality seed starting mix. 1 change, implemented consistently, will show you visible results within days. Then make the next change. And the next. Drop a comment below and tell us the #1 seedling problem you have been battling. We read every single comment, and we are here to help you figure it out. Share this with a fellow gardener who has ever lost seedlings and never knew why, because knowing the reason is the beginning of growing something beautiful. If you love learning about seasonal flowering plants, vegetables, gardening tips, and nature care, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Nature Nurture Hub, your home for year-round garden inspiration. Let's keep growing together.